I'm not good with. Oh yeah, got it.
Perfect. We're good to go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hello, Blaze Radio listeners. I'm Zach Bradshaw, and this is an exclusive interview with the one and only Cloe Wilder. She's a singer from Clearwater, Florida. And about a month ago, she wrapped up her very first tour, performing 18 concerts across 10 states in the months of March and April. Many of the concerts opening for Spencer Sutherland. Chloe, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you
Um,
for having me.
you just finished your very first tour. Describe to me what it was like traveling the country and getting to perform in front of thousands of fans.
Oh, it was absolutely mind-blowing. I'd never toured before, like you said, and I knew I was going to love it, but I loved it so much more than I thought I would. Honestly, it was amazing. And every night I just felt so heard and appreciated, and it was really, really cool for me. It was the perfect audience, honestly. I couldn't have imagined a more perfect first tour. Yeah, every night just felt like a little bit of a dream. And I tried to take everything in, but it was just so magical for me, and I've always wanted to do it. And I got to meet so many amazing people, and it just felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be, which is a really great feeling to have.
I had the pleasure of seeing you perform in Phoenix, and let me just say, it brought tears to my eyes on, on almost every single song.
Oh my God,
That's
thank
not
you.
stop me. That does not stop me from cheering my heart out for you. You have a great stage presence, and your voice very much fills the room. So, what are your thoughts on running? What's running through your mind as you are on that stage performing in front of hundreds of fans?
It's really interesting because it's such a peaceful feeling that I have when I'm up there. And there's so much adrenaline no matter what before I go on stage. It's not necessarily nerves, but there's just lots of excitement because you know that you're about to do this really cool thing. And as soon as I'm up there, I just feel such complete joy and peace. It's really pretty indescribable, and I love it. And yeah, I think the first night in San Francisco, I didn't really know what to expect. And I haven't ever played shows as big as the shows were on this tour. And after that first night, I just knew that I was going to be connected to all these people every night. And that was a really great feeling. And then, yeah, kept playing the shows, and every night just felt really, really good. So I just felt, yeah, this sort of sense of belonging. And I really was just so truly happy. I hadn't felt happiness like that. It was really, really cool.
In Phoenix, there was a moment where the audience actually started raising their lights to the sky,
That
and
was the first time that it ever happened to me. I honestly, that is one of my core tour memories. That totally took my breath away.
it was so cool to see your emotions on stage. It was awesome.
You. That
Um,
was an amazing moment. It just felt so natural. I didn't tell them, I didn't tell anybody to do that. It just happened. And it's cool too to see what song they choose and all of that. I mean, it was just that really took my breath away. I couldn't believe it. And yeah, that was definitely because the first time that happens to you, I do think that's something I'm gonna remember forever.
so then in that way, you're kind of learning about yourself, right? And like learning about how you perform on stage. So how would you describe, who you are as a singer and as a performer for all these fans?
I consider myself to be a very honest songwriter, a very honest artist, and I really came to terms with that on this tour because I was singing these songs that are about me and my life. And I really, the way I write songs, I just, write about experiences, and this is what happened and this is how it made me feel. And I write about people and all sorts of different things, but it all has to do with me, and it's all very vulnerable. And so every night getting up and singing these songs that literally are an extension of myself, and then seeing people enjoy them and connect with it and forming this connection in real time. I mean, I think I just really understood myself better than ever after that, because I just realized that this is what it's about. It is about the honesty and being as vulnerable as you possibly can be, because people really do notice it and they connect with it. And I think if I was doing this, any differently, it wouldn't work the same. So I really noticed that after touring. And and especially even there's fun things about it too, like figuring out my look on stage. And I had red hair on tour, and I really liked that. And I wore dresses every night, and I wore a pearl necklace every night. And there's little things that I definitely felt like was a part of my brand development. But mostly I just realized that I'm writing the right kind of songs, and that's a really, really cool thing to realize.
So, I mean, you're traveling the country, you're seeing all these cool cities, all these cool venues, all these cool fans performing for you, but behind the scenes, what is it like? Because you had your mom on on the tour with you. You were, driving in, I'm sure planes, buses, of course.
Mhm.
What is it like behind the scenes?
I just think the whole thing is so much fun. And obviously, it was my first tour. I'm so dazzled by everything. Everything feels very sparkly and new to me. Which I think I'm going to feel that way forever, honestly. But yeah, all of it was really great. I have an amazing touring team. My mom was there. I had, it's like a little family for sure. And Spencer, who I opened for on the tour, he's absolutely amazing. And we all just had so much fun together. And I think by the end of it, we were all just one big happy tour family, which I love. And yeah, behind the scenes, it was really just lots of fun. We had like we did fun things on our off days. We went to Graceland and we did all sorts of cool little I had a lot of cool experiences. So I'd say that it was just fun. Honestly, every day I had the best time. And also just knowing, yeah, like you said, that you're coming to these new cities and you're experiencing all of these shows and just knowing that that's what you get to do almost every night. It's like impossible to not have fun, in my opinion.
That's awesome. You're having so much fun on stage, and for that reason, people are like discovering your music. But I want to know, how did Spencer discover you?
Spencer's manager saw me play a show in New York. It was a really little show at a little club. And I was one of like 7 artists. It honestly, it was pretty magical and very organic. And yeah, she saw me and I had it really, that's the best way I can explain it, because then I was sort of in contact with her, and then she called about this tour, and I was like, I didn't believe it at all. And then she told me I'd hear back by the end of the week, and then I was told the next day that I got it. So it was really, really cool, and it ended up being such a great fit. And so it was just a very like natural connection, I guess, and I felt like it really did end up being a good fit, and everything worked out. And Spencer is so amazing and so talented and just this born entertainer, and getting to watch his show every night was even, that was amazing for me. I felt like I learned so much. I was just like taking notes constantly. And he was so fun and just gave me so much great advice. And really, I couldn't have asked for a better first tour, because he just really made the whole thing very fun. And yeah, we were just treated really well. But that's basically how it happened. Was I played this little show in New York, and then it brought me to all of this, which is insane.
That is incredible. I'm sure Spencer like kind of sings his praises to you every day. What are your reactions like with him, on the tour, after each concert? What is it like talking to him? And what did you guys kind of talk
Oh,
about?
yeah. I mean, he's so supportive. He was really very supportive of me, which when you're watching something as great as Spencer happen every night on stage, it is really cool it was really cool talking to him about music and life, and because he's been doing this longer than me, and and I really admire the way that his career has gone. And obviously, this tour I've always wanted to do it. And so the fact that I got to be a part of this, I think I was I was pretty emotional about it every night. He probably so yeah, but getting to talk to him was just amazing, and getting to spend all that time with him. And I really truly just admire him as an artist too. And then the fact that I, got to know him was just amazing. So yeah, that was great. It was everything just really fell into place on that.
Zach Bradshaw, Cloe Wilder, an exclusive interview here for Blaze Radio. Let's take it back to your early career, because back in 2018, I know the early career. Back in 2018, you were posting videos on YouTube of you singing covers of Halsey, Billie Eilish, Alessia
Yeah.
Cara, to name a few. Did you always, as a child, kind of have like a musical inclination?
I did. I did. I always loved music. I was always obsessed with music. And then I started taking vocal and piano lessons when I was 4. We always had a piano, but nobody ever played it except for me. And so I was really into that whole world. I was very classically trained. I did recitals like every week. And yeah, I was just singing songs constantly, and that's what I loved to do. And then yeah, I started posting videos and just trying to figure something out. And I went to my first writing camp when I was 12, so that sort of opened that door. But prior to that, I was just obsessed with singing. I loved it. That was my first love for sure.
Now you said that you draw inspiration from Lana Del Rey, and I understand why. Of course, she's a very talented artist. But
Yeah.
people at the concerts before they even really knew about you, they're saying that you looked and acted like a young Lana Del Rey. How
Thank
does
you.
this
That makes
make
me
you?
so happy. Yeah, that was really cool to hear. People did tell me that, which I honestly before, yeah, and saying that like they thought that before they heard me, that makes me really happy.
What parts about your music and kind of your presence on stage do you feel is like most comparative to Lana Del Rey?
I am just very inspired by how Lana Del Rey twists topics and makes them sound so pretty, because all of her music is very it's dark and it's ethereal, but it's just beautiful. And that's what I became so inspired by her at a very early age, honestly alarmingly early. I started listening to Lana Del Rey when I was like 7, because my sister's 11 years older, and was she was listening to Lana Del Rey at the peak, and I just got into it as well. And yeah, I would say that that's where I draw the most inspiration from, is just the way that she presents everything. And also I do love the way she carries herself. I've seen her live a couple times, and I do think that there's this sort of, you know, ethereal sense to her, and I hope that that comes across for me in some way. But yeah, just the fact that people compare me to her at all is makes me so happy, because she has truly just been a genuine inspiration of mine for years and years and years. And I think that just naturally I reference her a lot because of just how much I love her. But yeah, and even yeah, stage presence at all, I like there's this sort of simplicity about her, and she's just so classic, and all of it, all of these old Hollywood references. I love all of that. Yeah, she's my favorite ever. So I love that we're in the same sentence at all.
Yeah, and speaking of your lyrics kind of being like ethereal, are there any like experiences or past instances that kind of like lead up to your lyrics, because they are very like deep, personal, and again, as you said, ethereal.
Thank you so much. I honestly I sit with things for a long time, and I'm a very sensitive person. I feel everything very deeply. And yeah, so I think that and a lot of it is based off of experiences, but I will wait and I will think about it constantly. And then I do enjoy writing in a way that makes everything sort of pretty. And I try and be really thoughtful about it, and make it into a piece of art. That's what I really enjoy doing with songwriting. And so yeah, everything comes from a part of me. It's something I've experienced, something I've felt. But yeah, I like to present it in a certain way for sure, and I always try and add a little bit of that ethereal touch if I can.
So speaking of piece of art, your single "Crying When I Shouldn't" on
Oh,
repeat for me in Spotify. We'll just say it for.
you. Thank you. That's really sweet.
But it was released in 2020, and now is up to over 800,000 streams on Spotify alone. It is a very popular song. What was the process? Because this was like your first, big release. What was the process of recording this song, and what are your reactions to seeing how popular it is online?
I actually wrote that song with my music director, Eric, who, we played the shows every night together, and Eric was very loved on tour. And I think I was 13, honestly, and it was I was really starting to come into my own with songwriting, and I was really loving it, all of it. And yeah, I remember that was a pretty quick song, I think, because I was really excited about everything. And yeah, so I went in and I had done a few sessions with Eric, and we'd been playing shows together. And yeah, that was kind of you're right though, that was the first like big single release. We had a big party. It was but it was fun. And yeah, so that was just me being super emotional and 13. And I was inspired all the time. And I think I was just really trying to find myself. And that was definitely a step, on that journey.
And so the next step in 2021 would have been releasing your first album, Teenage Lullabies. I have to ask, what is the reasoning behind this title, and how does the music kind of impact you?
Yeah, there's a line in the song It's True that was the first single off of Teenage Lullabies, and it says, "What a teenage lullaby." And I wrote, and this is when I had started working with my producer Sam Nicolosi, and we wrote all of these songs together. And we had a couple other collaborators. We had Ezzy and Jackie Young and Marone, and it was really fun. And yeah, so that line really just inspired everything. And that was the first session I ever had with Sam. And we all wrote It's True that day. And I was like, oh, this kind of feels like the theme. Because it was all about, me. It was my coming of age EP sort of. And it did feel like my formal introduction to people musically, which was really cool. But yeah, so that's where that came from. And then every song just sort of lined up as a teenage lullaby in its own little way, just sort of this super sensitive side of everything. And these were all, I mean, I was very specific about experiences and topics with teenage lullabies, which was fun because I actually was kind of learning what a body of work was about. And yeah, I am still very proud of the title because I think it really worked for it. And that's kind of I am still very teenage with my writing. I'm 17 and I like everything to be super real. And I think that that's where Teenage Lullabies was sort of romanticized in a way because of the sound and everything in the presentation, but I was just being honest. And it was a really cool first project to have for sure because I was 14 when we wrote all of it. And yeah, and it honestly, the fact that I still connect to it, I'm very proud of too, because for a long time it was hard for me to keep moving with music and to keep singing old songs and everything, old when they're like a couple years old. But I sing, a couple songs from Teenage Lullabies on tour every night, and I still really love them, and they still feel a lot like me. So that whole thing just ended up being this sort of, dark and sparkly side of a teenage dream, I guess, which yeah, I'm really proud of still.
Yeah, and it is definitely an album to cry to. I have admittedly cried to it once, and
Thank you. Thank you so much. I honestly I love to hear that.
it's a great album to listen to if you are sad. But again, you mentioned that you are young. You go on this first tour. Are there any like, I mean, I know it's very early, but like, do you have any goals or aspirations in your career?
I do, well, touring was one of them and it still is. And it was my favorite thing in the whole world. And I just want to keep doing it all the time. And so that was a big goal of mine. I'm like, I want to go on my first tour before I turn 18. And I did that. So that was really great. And yeah, I just really want to keep doing that. I have my next EP is totally ready. And so that'll be coming out very soon. Lots of songs I sang on tour. And yeah, I'm really just looking forward to keeping the wheels turning because that's what I love. I love being consistent and just putting out new music and meeting new people and playing these new shows and going to different cities. And I just want to be a part of all of it. So that's really the goal, is to just keep up with it, keep touring, keep putting out music, and just, I hope that people love it and keep loving it because after this tour, I felt like everything was right, and so I just want to make sure that I keep doing it.
Awe-inspiring music, and fans can expect, heartbreak, soberness, a very personal kind of touch to all of these songs. In the future, do you have any, messages to fans you want to spread about either what your words that you're saying, or sort of an underlying theme in all of your music? Anything you want to say to the fans?
I have so much I want to say to them. Well, yeah, I love that they're connecting with it at all, and I hope that we can keep doing that with each other because that's really where it comes from for me, especially after playing all of these shows. They're constantly on my mind, the fact that there's people who enjoy my music. I mean, it's really that is such a bonus to the whole thing because I love writing music and I love singing and performing and all of it, but that moment where you notice that people are connecting and relating, I mean, it's unbeatable. So I think that I hope that they know that I really do it for them. And that's really what it is at this point, because I just felt so loved the whole time I was playing all those shows, and I don't know, it totally changed my life. So I just hope that this continues and we keep connecting with each other, because I just felt like we all really understood what was going on.
And lastly, we know you're a fan of Lana. We know you're a fan of obviously Spencer Sutherland. But are there any other artists that nobody really knows, but you're maybe a big fan of, or any upcoming albums that you're really excited for?
Let me look on my Spotify right now. I mean, I am a big Phoebe Bridgers girl. I told you I'm seeing Taylor Swift in a couple days. She's one of my all-time favorites. I love Florence and the Machine right now. Oh my gosh, there's so much. Yeah, I love Lana Del Rey. Listen to lots of Johnny Cash. All sorts of I love Bon Iver. That's been a big influence for my upcoming work. Yeah, honestly, there's a lot. There's a
Well,
lot that I love, which is fun. But yeah, I'm definitely like getting a little more into the alternative folk world, which is fun. But yeah, that's
yeah.
a lot of it. I love like Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros. I don't know. There's so much I could say. But yeah, I feel like my main ones right now are definitely Phoebe Bridgers and Bon Iver. But yeah, now I'm loving Florence and the Machine. So there's just so much great music, and I just love all of it so much. But yeah, just thinking about like what's influenced my newest project, that's definitely a side of it.
And you mentioned Johnny Cash. Could fans? I don't want to get any speculations or anything here, but can fans ever expect any like country sort
You
of?
know, Actually, well, a touch of it, because I am very well. Johnny Cash is also just something I sort of grew up on and I've reconnected with a lot recently. And yeah, I wouldn't put it past myself, honestly. He's definitely, I mean, that there's I like to use touches of everything, and I get really easily inspired by that time in music. We went to Graceland on tour, and even after that, I was like, wow, maybe this is something I need to do, because once you see I think that was a really cool time for music, and seeing like all of the rock and country influence is really fun. But yeah, I love all of it, and I'm hoping to eventually just do love to make just a big long album that's just a big mess of everything I love. And yeah, so that would be really fun.
Well, you're going to see Taylor Swift in New York. It's gonna be a great time. You're gonna have a great summer.
Oh,
Zach Bradshaw again with Cloe Wilder. You can follow her on Spotify and Instagram, as well as Twitter. TikTok. Thank you so much for joining me today, Chloe. I really
thank
appreciate
you
it.
for having me. It was so nice talking to you again.
Yes, I hope to see you on tour pretty soon in Phoenix again soon.
Yeah, I want to come back so bad.